Good morning, Melissa here. My office is feeling very full because I have a whole pile of props for this video. Can we just marvel for a second at how many books I have created? Today I wanted to talk about my evolution from there to here. So I, after 11, 12 years, quit blogging. And it happened quietly, it happened quickly, and I don't want to take too much of the story going into it because there was a lot of reasons about it, but essentially I have quit blogging and we're in a new evolution going forward. And so I thought it would be a cool time to kind of wrap up the evolution. So I've written a list, a big list, and I thought I would take you through it in case it was interesting to you, because in 2013, I started my blog. I was very unwell. My symptoms were very poorly managed. At the time, we only knew that I had, excuse me, I'm going to get more comfortable. We only knew that I had fibromyalgia. And then I got pregnant and my symptoms were wildly unmanaged, and they sent me to some specialists and they had no idea what to do with me. Nothing. So wildly unmanaged, like just loads of pain. I know that the hypermobility was a real problem and flaring up at the time, but I didn't learn about it till much, much later. And so I started a blog and I was sharing diary-like entries to share my experience, because I thought if no one knows what to do with me, there must be a lot of other people out there experiencing the same thing. So if I can at least show them that they're not alone, then it would be worth my energy. And I very slowly worked on that for some time. And then I have the memory of a sieve, so forgive me if I get my years a little bit muddled. So I started with my first pregnancy, and then a couple years later I had my second pregnancy. And then after that second pregnancy, what I did in the National Write a Novel in a Month in November, I thought, what if I looked at all of the blog posts I created about pregnancy and fibromyalgia and see if I've got enough for a book. So I pulled it all together, created additional chapters that I felt were necessary, rewrote what was sitting there, because what you write in a blog isn't necessarily what you put in a book. And then in 2017, I published Pregnancy and Fibromyalgia. And I did it because there was literally nothing else out there at the time. One review of this, the earliest version of this book, haunts me to this day. And it says, there's barely any information in here, it's not worth it. And I was like, ouch, that's like my whole experience put in there for you. But what I did is I did a literature review on what existed in terms of information about pregnancy and fibromyalgia, which was not much, and then put everything I learned. So natural pain relief suggestions, pain management, pelvis issues, low-dose naltrexone, tools for managing first, second, and third trimester separately. Then I talked about labor, talked about nursing, and all of that good stuff, and how to manage with a baby. And then I feel like part of the gold is the stuff in the back where I put interviews with other fibro parents. So there's several interviews of other people giving advice and what their favorite tools and hints and all of that stuff is. I updated this book again in 2021 to reflect my fourth pregnancy. So although this came out in 2017, the book that you can buy right now on Amazon is not from 2017. It's been heavily updated. So I did that, but I was really shy about it. And so I didn't tell anyone really about it. And so it just kind of sat there quietly, waiting until I got better at learning to do that. In 2018, I had my third pregnancy and I worked on Melissa versus Fibromyalgia. So this was my first regular book. Again, I would call this Melissa versus Chronic Pain and Fatigue if I could now, but it's kind of a big deal to change the title of a book. This book still sells well, and I'll tell you why. Because it is very easy to read. It is super simple, and so I put it like, what do I do? So I talked about what I did and do, and provide research as well, and then further reading and kind of examples for how you might put it in yourself. And I provided, like, this is the sleep diary, so it's got like templates and resources in it. And so this is still, I stand by everything in this book. It's just that it needs to be updated because a lot of things have happened in the last few years. So that happened in 2018. All this time I've still been blogging. I was still blogging that whole time. Then after my third baby in 2019, I did my yoga teacher training, which was really hard, but actually one of the best things I ever did, because yoga has really helped me and I found it really helpful. And all the time I was saying to people, you should try it, but I knew there was no like good or safe resource. So over the next couple of years, I did work on creating like safe yoga resources, and so you can find loads here on the channel, and I've got a couple of courses. I've got the rest yoga toolkit and the stretch yoga toolkit, that's breaking down the main tools of yoga, because yoga is not just one thing. So I worked on that kind of, I mean, still ongoing, but more recently I've had to focus on the rest tools, because with the hypermobility issues I haven't been able to do much of the stretch yoga. So that was the big focus over those few years, and then in 2020 the whole world shut down, didn't it? So I got stuck at home with 3 very small children, a brand new puppy, and a brand new job. My first day of that part-time job was in the middle of the first lockdown, was my first day. The first day of lockdown was the first day of that job. And then I found out I was pregnant with a 4th baby. Oh my gosh. So I was pretty quiet then. I did continue blogging, like slowly I kept putting out blog posts, because that's like my mission, is to like share anything I learn in case it helps someone else out there. I don't want you guys or anyone to lose as long as I lost to severe pain and fatigue. In 2022, I put out my daily symptom log. This is actually the final iteration of my daily symptom log. So I put out the first iteration of my daily symptom log. It's very similar to this, but this has just been updated to reflect everything that I currently track. So I put out my first symptom tracking journal, and I also put out my paced planner, my paced planning journal. So what I did is I took the concept of pacing and our own symptoms and put it into a very simple pace your day plan. So the idea behind that was you put your high and your low energy tasks where you need it in the day, and you plan your day according to your energy. It is a very simple concept, but I am so proud of it, and so excited that this is out there. Again, it's another thing that I hardly talk about these things, and so they sell like a couple of copies a month, and I don't really sit there talking about it, but this was really important for me because symptom tracking and learning to pace were very big parts of my journey, and so that's kind of being really practical. In that same year, 2022, was Fibromyalgia Won't Win. And so this was the updated version of Melissa versus Fibromyalgia. So this is a little, like the chapters are more kind of dense, more full of information, research, my experience, and I've got a lot on yoga and meditation in here. And I created a very big goodie bag for this book. So anyone who purchases this book gets a huge goodie bag of like templates and yoga and meditation and all sorts of things, but it just adds to the journey, and it's a lot of things that I wasn't able to articulate before, because it wasn't until 2022 when I started to understand that the periods, the just heavy painful periods, were a really big deal. They were taking over my life. So after my periods resumed after my 4th baby, they were very, very bad. But at the same time I had started quetiapine. So I met this new doctor and I told her my history of my sleep issues and how bad it was every single night, and she's like, this is an emergency, we got to treat it. And I started quetiapine and I started sleeping. I got deep in REM sleep and my brain started to like clear those cobwebs, and that reflects in my cognitive ability, and so that really ticked up in 2022. So I'm really proud of that year, but obviously with 4 small children, you're still deep in it, right? My first one was 1 year old. My last child woke up every single hour till he was like a year old. He was the worst sleeper in the whole world, which is hilarious because he was basically attached to me from day one, right? When your 4th baby. So he lived in the boba wrap. I had to co-sleep with him because that was the only way I could nurse. I would fall asleep if I tried to sit up trying to nurse the baby. So we would co-sleep and nurse. He was the most attached baby, still the most attached 4-year-old. We have a beautiful relationship and he's wonderful, but he still did not sleep very well. But that is an aside. Moving on, 2023. This is when I got to do something very exciting. My mama has fibromyalgia. So I was having talks with my kids at that point, you know, like they were asking questions, and I was trying to figure out how to share my experience with my kids. So I came up with my mama has fibromyalgia, and I put it out into the world. So this was my first children's book. And then that followed a couple of months later by My Mama Has Chronic Pain. Now, these projects could have been done much quicker. I wrote them pretty quickly, but obviously the thing that takes time is how to design it. And yeah, my brother has helped me with all of these books, every single book. He is a graphic designer and he does all of my beautiful covers. And so the time is actually in creating the imagery and the pictures and all of that good stuff. Now, that's when I had the operation. So the endometriosis came to a head. I had major surgery. I had a hysterectomy and endometriosis excision surgery. I was very unwell after that. So not much was happening after that. It was very slow. I had 4 months off work. It took me a long time to start to come back. But this project, which had been on pause, I was finally able to do in 2024. My mama has ME/CFS, and this one was very exciting for me, particularly because not only is it just absolutely beautiful. This is the Lulu copy. You can't get nice paper on Amazon, so this is like a shiny paper, and it just has more heft to it. But I'm really, really proud of this book. This was very exciting to see and to be able to share it with my kids, because ME/CFS is so confusing. So confusing for kids, right? They can see you do one thing one day and the next day you're like not coping as well, and they're like, what has happened? So that was 2024. And this also came in 2024, my mindfulness toolkit. This is something I wanted to do for a long time. Like I said, when I trained to be a yoga teacher, I wanted to share resources in a safe way for us, because so many of us have been burnt. Oh, just try yoga. Yoga's going to cure you. Well, it's not, but it's going to help a little bit. And so the toolkit is broken down into breath work practices, stretch practices, and I give class ideas, and then meditation practices. And so the point of this book is like a smorgasbord of activities that can be helpful. But then the real benefit, I feel, besides the yoga at work section, which gives ideas for using yoga tools at work, which is, I had a course for a while there, like a few years ago. I had a Thinkific. No, I didn't. I had a Teachable account, and I put some yoga courses up there. But I wasn't very good at telling people about them, and I didn't charge very much for them, and Teachable charges a lot of money, and it costs a lot of money to continue to practice as a yoga teacher, right? I have to have like liability insurance and all of that kind of thing, so it got too expensive. So I took it all down, and I do have a PayHip store, but it takes a lot of work to put a course up somewhere, right? So all of my working with chronic pain and fatigue course is just sitting there unused, but I put the like heart of it in here. But I also have a how to make a class. And so I take people through making plans for using the yoga tools in their day. And so the thing about this book is that it is the culmination of all those years of learning the yoga, learning how to create like the worksheets and the journals, and putting it all together. So this is like probably like I don't know what the word is, but this is like an important kind of cornerstone, I want to say, of my work, showing of like everything I had learned and how far I had come. And this is a really important book to me. Funnily enough, it doesn't sell super well, because like we've all been burned by all those people who are like, just try yoga, it's gonna fix you. But also, again, I've got 4 small children and a part-time job, and you'll see in a minute what I've been working on more recently. And the fact that like it took me a long time to heal after the operation. Then the POTS was really, really bad. I had a very bad summer that year, and then we learned that I have hypermobility spectrum disorder, and so that's what's causing a lot of the problems. So my SI joints were just continually going out. They're starting to stay in place better now. But I had a really bad period of time for a while there. Oh yeah, Mama Needs a Rest. This is an adapted version of my mindfulness toolkit. I put this out this year, and it is adapted for busy mamas. So it is a cute size. You can see that it's a different size to the mindfulness toolkit. This is made for busy mamas because I had that on my heart. And it's just a whole lot of really helpful tools for mamas. But this year, the big changes this year has been where I've gone, what does I want to do? And since I was a child, I have always wanted to write. I've always wanted to be an author. And I've done that, right, with all my nonfiction work and my blog work. Yep, that's great. I'm so proud of it, like always going to be proud of it. But I always wanted to write fiction. So I went into this year and said, I'm going to do it. And I brought out Mindfully Yours, Ella. So this is a cozy contemporary romance featuring chronically ill characters. And it was written because I wanted to see someone authentically represented with chronic pain and fatigue. In Ella's case, it's fibromyalgia, but I wanted to see it authentically represented in literature. And so I did it. This was in April. And I am unbelievably proud of it. The thing is, that story had sat in my head for so long that when I finished it, I immediately started working on the sequel. This is not out yet. This is coming out in October of 2025. Beautifully Ours. This is like a Christmas novella sequel to Mindfully Yours, Ella. So this is like what happens if you have a love story of fibromyalgia, and this is what happens after the love story. What happens after Happily Ever After? So those go together. So I worked on those in the first half of the year really hard, which meant the blog work had to pause. I did manage to keep, I'm pretty sure there were only a couple of weeks of YouTube video pauses. Otherwise, I've managed to do a YouTube video a week for like 10 years. I don't think I said when I started the YouTube. I should have looked that up before I started this video. But because I realized that I could write fiction, and I really, really love it, and I'm curious about taking everything I've learned in all of this work and seeing if I can make it work as an author business, because my part-time job, look, I'm proud of it. I work in the nonprofit sector, but this is my dream. Like writing words and selling words and helping people is my dream. So I would really like to make my part-time work, my business, sorry, replace my part-time work so that I can earn enough to be able to do this all the time. And so I launched a pen name just now, like in June 2025, and released A Home with the Pack. Again, I didn't write this year. I started this story a couple of years ago. The idea came to me when I was on a road trip with my family, and then I put it down because obviously I had no time, and it came back again later. So I wrote it down, and I had 20k words like that. So I picked it up and adapted it into this. So this came out under the pen name Cassia Moonglen, because it would look very weird to have nonfiction next to paranormal romance, right? And I put that out in June, and then very soon the sequel is going to come out, and the sequel is much like the Mindfully Yours, Ella. Like I finished this and I was like, I know what's happening next. So I wrote the sequel pretty quickly. So the sequel is going to come out pretty quickly. And so this is my pen name, which I started, which I'm very excited about. We're running out of time because I feel like I've been talking for 20 years, but this is what's next. This is going to be the final like wrap up. So my blog is defunct, but everything that you would have found across 400 blog posts is edited concisely into this book. This is, the outside is final, but the inside is not final. This is finding my own pace. This is everything I've learned over the years living with chronic pain and fatigue, my whole story, everything I've learned, and that's coming out next year. I'm working on it very hard. So let's go very quickly into what's coming next. I'm working on finding my own pace because I feel like this is the bookend to my blog. YouTube is not going anywhere because I actually really love doing this, and I find it quite easy to share information in this way. And the next thing is that so the second book on my pen name will come out, and then I also have a third book nearly ready. So I have really good systems and processes. So if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I can make a video for you, because I have made some very good systems and processes. And obviously I've learned a lot of things to be able to make this. Like my brother helps me with the covers and the formatting, but all of these words in here and the worksheets and templates, they're all mine. I made them up. So if you're curious, let me know. So that's my evolution of the last like 12 years condensed into 20 minutes. I hope it made sense. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want me to go into detail on anything else, let me know. And thank you so much for being here. If you've made it this far, you are a champion. I'll see you again soon.